In this series, my plan is to give you 3 to 4 anime per genre so that you can kind of pick and choose where you would like to start based on things you already like. Yo, what is up, everyone? I'm Bernsey, and I am here today to give you some good starter anime. Now, whether you've been watching anime for a long time, maybe you're looking for recommendations for friends, maybe you're looking for recommendations for yourself, or you're completely new and just want to dip your toe in, this video should cover all of that. Just to give you some background information on me, I've watched roughly 300 anime. I kind of quit counting once you hit a certain point. You really just kind of don't care anymore. And there's some years where I'll watch a whole bunch, and some years where I have watched none. But I've been watching since the 90s, so it's fair to say that I've seen a ridiculous amount. I've also been creating anime content now for about 5 years on multiple platforms, and it's been a wild ride. I can't believe that it's been 5 years. That's crazy. The reason I'm making this video is because I get asked all the time what a good anime to watch is, what's a good starter anime for my friend, just all sorts of anime recommendation questions, just based on the fact that I make anime recommendation videos, short form videos, and so I decided to finally do a long form. Something else to let you know is I have a film degree, which I've only really used for editing videos and doing some sound work. But I think that kind of puts me like in a unique perspective to help people find the anime that really resonates with them, being that I have had a deep dive into film and media itself. It really puts me in a unique perspective, and I'd like to share that with everyone. Oh yeah, and I was a teacher for like 8 years, so that probably helps too. But it's almost kind of irrelevant. Just a fun fact I like to share with you. Now, without further ado, let's freaking do this. The very first genre I'm going with is action. Now, remember when we're talking about genres, we're talking about things that are very similar, right? So they all have very similar aspects. That being said, most of the time, genres overlap. You're not just going to have a just straight action. There's going to be action with drama or suspense or horror or multiple things. Could be romance. They all overlap, and especially if the anime is longer or if the media is longer, or they want it to be more in depth. But like very rarely are you just going to have this is just straight up action and that's the only thing that's going on. So for this genre, I picked 2 anime that are completed, and then I picked one that is currently going on. I tried to kind of do that for most of the genres, but I may or may not have, just depending on the genre itself. Sometimes it's a little bit harder. But again, action anime, we're going to go with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Attack on Titan, and JJK. Now, I know what you're immediately thinking. If you know me from the internet, you've probably heard me say multiple times that I am not an Attack on Titan fan. And I'm really not. It doesn't make my top 10, which I know is apparently a travesty or whatnot. But my problem honestly doesn't have to do with the anime itself. The anime is very good, it's done very well. The animation is great. It's the storyline has already been done before, and I didn't like the way that they milked it. So it really doesn't have a lot to do with the anime itself. And I really enjoyed the anime until about midway through season 3, and then it just kind of seemed to drag on. But other than that, it's super good, and I know multiple people who really love Attack on Titan. Now that I got that out of the way, I also want to point out that the 3 anime that I did pick for this are very popular. And I kind of did that on purpose because if you're dipping your toe in, you really want to be able to talk to people about the anime that you're watching, either while you're watching it or when it's over. And so, if you don't know a lot of people that have watched anime, these 3 choices, I know multiple people who have watched one of them, right? Not all 3, just one. And that's the only anime they've ever watched. And people have talked to me about it. I have Full Metal Alchemist tattooed on my leg, and people talk to me about that all the time. And that's the only anime they've ever seen. Let's talk about these specifically. So, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood was the #1 rated anime on my anime list for a ridiculous long time. Interestingly enough, it's actually a remake of Full Metal Alchemist. Okay, so there's Full Metal Alchemist, which was in the early 2000s, and then there's Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and there's a really big difference between the two. So Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and the original Full Metal Alchemist both follow the story of Edward and Al, who are basically trying to figure out how to put their bodies back together. So something happened, and Edward lost a leg and an arm, and his brother Al is his soul is confined to a piece of armor, and they're on a mission to try to get their bodies back using something called alchemy, which is essentially like a magic in their land, but it's science based. The primary principle that it follows by is the law of equivalent exchange, which is that you can't get something for nothing, essentially. I'm using like super broad, very very high level descriptions in order to explain this because I don't want to ruin anything. But it's a super fun anime, really good. The story is really good, really in depth. There's a reason that it was number one on my anime list for so long. Now, the major difference between Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is that Full Metal Alchemist was airing during the time that the manga was being written. And the anime actually caught up to the manga and then went anime only. And so the rest of the story was just anime only and goes in a completely different direction than what the manga does, which you get to see in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which really does follow the manga. To give you a hot take that no one asked for, Full Metal Alchemist, had it been the second one, had it been the one that followed the manga the way that they were doing the original Full Metal Alchemist, I think it would have been 10 times better, which is really hard to do. But there's a lot of scenes that are very deep and very impactful. And I feel like the original Full Metal Alchemist was showing that a lot better. It was doing those deep, dark scenes and those big, dramatic things much better. All in all, it was kind of a darker anime in the original one than in the remake. But the remake is flawless. I mean, it's extremely good. Again, there's a reason it was number one. Let's talk about Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan started coming out in, I believe, 2012. Clearly, I should have done a bunch of research on these, but I didn't. I'm kind of just going off of memory. But I believe it was 2012 when it started. And it just ended, we're going to say recently. And actually, there was just an announcement that they're going to bring the last movie, which was like some episodes, to the theaters in America, which is milking on a whole new scale. It's crazy. And I love going to movies. I go to every Ghibli movie and I've already seen them all. I go to any anime movie that I can in the theater because I like to see it on the big screen, but I'm just, stop. Just please stop. Like, please stop milking it. Solid anime. I honestly think that most people that watch it are going to really enjoy it. It has a lot of mystery involved. It has a lot of like deep history and storytelling in the world itself. It just, it personally, again, like I said, if you've watched Code Geass, then you kind of already seen it, but it appeals to the masses, and I'm not one to argue with that. It clearly I'm an outlier more so than that the anime is not good, if that makes sense. Just to let you know about the anime itself, you pretty much follow three main characters. There are a ton of characters, like Game of Thrones level number of characters in this. But there's three main ones: Eren, Armin, and Mikasa, and you're kind of following them from when they are children up through their lives, and they live in a town that is surrounded by a wall, and on the outside of this wall are titans, and these titans are humanoid-looking things that basically will eat anything alive, anything that gives chase. They pretty much, and so the whole story is just kind of that. in a nutshell, right? Again, very high level, very easy way to explain it, but it has like military, has really in depth history. It is a really good story and good anime. It's very gory, very graphic, very deep. There's a lot of people cried during a lot of it. It's it's very intense, but it's a fantastic anime. And the last pick on this was JJK. Jujutsu Kaisen is the name of it. JJK. JJK is an easy choice. Super popular, like worldwide popular. I actually thought Attack on Titan was this way until I saw Jujutsu Kaisen. And I mean, you're talking about superstars referring to it. You're talking about, Usher and Megan Thee Stallion. And like Gojo is everywhere. There's like McDonald's stuff. Like it's crazy. And so that's a super easy one to pick. But also, it's very good. The anime is done really well. It's 2 seasons, so it's still ongoing, which is why I saved that one because I don't oftentimes suggest things that aren't completed, which maybe, bad on me. Maybe, hey, I give you a season and it's 1 season only. It's definitely planned to do more, and that keeps you hooked. But to me, that's frustrating because I watched TV in the 90s and it sucked waiting week to week. I don't like doing it now. The only reason that I watch seasonals now is because I make content. If I didn't, I wouldn't. I would wait till the end and then just watch the whole season in one sitting. That's how I like to do it. Probably why I don't remember a lot of characters' names, but I digress. That's just my own personal opinion. Some people like watching weekly. I just don't because I'm impatient and I did that my whole childhood. I don't want to do that anymore. We have the ability to not do that, so let's not. JJK is about Yuji Itadori, who is a high school student who's freakishly strong, fast, athletic, who ends up finding out about this other world due to being attacked by what's known as a curse. He then swallows a finger and other stuff happens and he meets all these and he gets kind of inducted into this other school, we'll say, for what's known as a jujitsu sorcerer. Again, very high level way to explain that. But if you like sorcery type things and curses, big scary blob type things, this is really cool. It's done really well. The animation is fantastic. The characters are great. It's a really fun show. It is gory. It is more adult. But that being said, most anime is more adult, and I don't think that people really realize that. Which is why I get a lot of looks when people find out that I'm so into anime. They don't really understand. Most of the anime out there is not really for children. It's just animated adult stories. All right, so that's where we're going to stop for this video. Give you a little bit about me, kind of what this series is going to be about. That should tide you over at least for a week until I get this next part of the series out. There will be more genres in the next one, don't worry, because I won't have to explain myself again. I'll just link back to this video and it'll be fantastic. If you like this video, please subscribe. Later.